Hey, good morning, guys. It is Tuesday, September 2nd, 6:53 in the morning. So, yeah, I had a lot of stuff going on yesterday, but most of it was just here in the office looking at, as a whole, how I want to approach this Bible study, social media presence, my nonprofit, how that's all coming together, my own personal journey the last, we'll say, 6 to 9 months. I put together a letter and put that on my Facebook page. Developed, again, a bunch of different social media platforms, and just looking at how God is going to use me in this space. I always kind of wondered, how can God use me? What ministry can I be involved in? Definitely went through all those thoughts in my mind through all my health issues, and just physically just so much changed that there's all those questions. There were all those questions in my head, and I use this word loosely. I feel as though I'm being led in this direction, in ethics as it relates to theology and AI, and in some manner that's all going to come together. I am starting to get involved in a couple groups online related to that AI. There's one called AI and Faith. There's another that's the Church Digital, or the Digital Church. It's one or the other. And these are groups that are tackling some of these ideas in the intersection of technology and faith. There's other groups out there. There's a bunch of articles out there. There's commissions within each country that are putting together standards. I was reading through some of that over the weekend. I found another article last night I need to read, which brings into question, and that's what I've written in my notes, it brings into question who are these people that are setting up these standards, where, and, it gets into the ideas of biases, and not like bias, just what do we naturally feel or think about whatever the subject is in, let's just say, Western culture, Eastern culture. What are our natural biases, and how are those ethics? So there's just a lot of thoughts behind it, and I'm not being too clear about it this morning. But anyways, it's a lot of what I was thinking about yesterday and going through. So what started at whatever time it was yesterday, 6 in the morning, I ended up finishing up at about 8 o'clock at night, and had only left my office here to let the dog outside. It was like, so sometimes I get so ultra focused that I just got to take a minute and step back. All right. So thanks for letting me talk. I started reading, again, Romans 3. I wanted to go through verses 9 through 18, and really only got through verses 9 through 13. And I can read those now. What then? Are we better than they? Not at all, for we have already charged that both Jews and Greeks are all under sin, as it is written, there is none righteous, not even one. There is none who understands. There is none who seeks for God. All have turned aside together. Together they have become useless. There is none who does good. There is not even one. Their throat is an open grave. With their tongues they keep deceiving. The poison of asps is under their lips. So, and those verses go on, verses 14 through 18, additionally follow that manner of parallelism. Paul is using this parallelism, and he's actually quoting Psalms. So here he is in the New Testament, quoting the Old Testament to the people listening. And so there was a connection there. They understood what he was getting at and what those Psalms or those Bible verses were about. Or those writings, those teachings, we'll say. The question, again, my questions are, what are the lessons from the Old Testament, and how are they reinforcing the New Testament through God's grace? And question 2 is, what and who are examples of contemporary people that fall into categories discussed in these scriptures, and what were their stories? Now, I can speak to just my stories. It's very, I'm learning. We'll just put it that way. I'm learning, trying to figure out different people and what maybe their stories are, and how they relate to all of this. But in verse 9, it speaks to, are we better than them? And basically it just says we're all the same. And as Christians and believers are no different. Jews, Gentiles, we're all the same. And we will be judged no differently. And we are all going to have to stand before God for a righteous judgment. It's, this idea that we are set aside, or we are above those around us is in my book is ridiculous. We're all going to be standing there. We're all going to be judged the same. It's just, do you have that assurance of saving grace? And that doesn't mean you get to do what you want and act how you want. It means actually that you need, how do I say it? You're responsible to live by a different standard according to the fact that you have said that you are going to follow God, and you are fully engaged in that. If that's true within your heart, and that's between you and God. No, nobody from the outside can fully judge whether or not you're a true believer or not, but it'll be evident by your life and how you do things. So, in the King James, in that verse 9, it says something along the lines. Excuse me. That we are all under one sin, okay, or under one offense. We all miss the mark, so we all don't share in the prize. So that's the particular word. What is it? Hamartia, which is related to hamartano. Anyways, we miss the mark, so we're all under one sin. Verses originally I said I was going to go through 10 through 18, but I only went 10 through 13. And verse 10, and again, this is referring back to Psalms 14:2, and this is Paul. And effectively, it just says, not even one person is righteous. Verse 11, it refers back to Psalms 14:2. There's none who understands. There's none who seeks for God. Let's see, verse 12, which refers back to Psalms 14:3, and this is the parallel. All, not just one, have gone astray. So specifically, it's saying we have all gone astray. And then verse 13, their throat is an open grave. With their tongues they keep deceiving. The poison of asps is under their lips. So this refers back to Psalms 5:9, which speak is consistently deceitful. And then Psalms 143, their conversation flows from poisonous lips. And so what I think is interesting about these particular Psalms is that they were written by David, King David, right? So, Psalms 140, verse 3, prayer. It's interesting. It's prayer. The whole chapter there, Psalms 140, is prayer for protection against the wicked. And I would recommend you go in and read that psalm if you're feeling like you're in a place or in a space that you need to feel that protection. So, and in all of this, Paul is emphasizing how we are all the same, and believers have a responsibility to live in a different manner. So I had written in here, in verse 9, this idea of missing the mark and not sharing in the prize, okay, which is that hamartano. We need to train and work hard to be victorious in God's eyes. And how do we do that? Being in the Bible, reading, and in prayer, and following God, even when times are hard. And so I'm going to share this. I wasn't going to share it, but now I'm going to share it. So I had written down here, we need to train and work hard to be victorious. And so, when I was younger, I was involved in karate, martial arts, karate, jiu-jitsu, aikido, a couple other forms of martial arts. And anyways, I got to a point where I was going to this one dojo, and I got comfortable. And I got cocky, and I got to a point where I was getting very arrogant, and I wasn't taking it seriously. And so essentially what happened is that most people within that dojo, because of my size and strength, I wasn't definitely not the fastest, but because of my size and strength, I could overcome those individuals. Well, I believe as a test, the instructor or the master, right? He at one point brought in a guy from another school or another dojo. We were interconnected with a number of different locations, and I was arrogant, and I thought, oh, this is no big deal. And this guy is a big dude. And this is when I lived on the East Coast. And anyways, the bottom line is that this guy picked me up and shook me around like a rag doll. And he beat the arrogance out of me. and so it's just, even all these years later, I mean, that was 30 years ago, right? And it sticks with me because I needed to take what I was doing seriously. So I started training very hard. I mean, it took some time, but I started training very hard at that time, and I tried to come to the place humbly, right? And learn in a different manner. It's not that I wasn't physically capable necessarily, other than with this guy. There is some physical manner to it, but it was about my arrogance and my attitude. And so I only share that because it in anything we do, we need to take it seriously, train hard to not miss the mark. And that means that we can't miss the mark in our appearance to other people around us. As Christians, there are many of us that believe that we're set aside or we're above those around us. And ultimately, actually, we're not. We have a responsibility to perform in a different manner, so people understand that everybody can come to God. So that's what I got today. Again, another sort of scattered kind of thoughts, but by the end of the week, everything will come together. But just observations. It's interesting stuff. I'll see you tomorrow morning. Bye.